Isn't life strange? Have you ever noticed that no matter how carefully we plan things, our life never turns out quite like we intended? You know, we start out as these wrinkly, naked little babies, crying and whining, kicking and screaming because we don't understand what is happening to us. Then we grow up to be toddlers. We're exploring the world. We have this insatiable curiosity and a passion for learning. And then before we know it, we become young children. And we know with certainty that life is simple. Everything we need is provided for. We're surrounded by older people who are infinitely wise. And these older people know everything. They understand everything. And they are powerful, like superheroes. And we can't wait to be just like them. We have grandiose dreams of being firemen, astronauts, professional athletes, or rock stars, and we know for sure that we can do anything. But it turns out that our parents want us to be something else. Maybe doctors or lawyers or accountants or something responsible and successful. And then we become preteens, and we hear our parents start saying things like, "You better enjoy it while it lasts, because time really flies." And we wonder what in the world they are talking about, because it takes forever for the holidays to get here, and a school year lasts for an eternity. Then we become teens, and we begin to argue with our parents about the dreams we hold for ourselves and the dreams that they hold for us. And they say things like, "As long as you are under my roof." And we begin to realize that our parents are terrified, lost and confused, and we're embarrassed to be seen with them. And they say things like, "Be careful to make better choices." Then they say, "I want you to have something better than I had." But we know that what they really mean is they don't want us to have any fun. And so we ignore their advice and we do what we were going to do anyway. And our parents then begin to exhibit bizarre behavior, like staying up late at night and waiting for us to come home, and then they ask millions of questions about where we've been and who we were with. We realize for the first time that our parents actually don't understand anything. And when we see the fear in their eyes, this scares the heck out of us, so we run as far as we can to get away from them. Before you know it, we are young adults, and we realize, okay, life is not as simple as we first thought, but we're still confident that we can do so much better, and we still secretly hold our parents in disdain. Okay, we don't get to be astronauts or sports heroes or rock stars, but we find nice, safe, reasonable jobs that we are sure will lead us to the promised land of happiness and prosperity. And then one day, we find ourselves holding a tiny, wrinkly baby, crying and whining, kicking and screaming because he or she does not understand what is happening. And we smile because we know everything and we can show them the way. And in the blink of an eye, that baby is a toddler. And he or she looks at us like we're a superhero. And he or she knows that we know everything. And he or she wants to be just like us. And we work harder and we stay later in an attempt to live up to those expectations. And out of love for our spouses and our children, we begin to do more and more and more to try to provide for them the important things in life, the things that we want them to have that we never had. And then one day we hear ourselves talking to our children and we realize we're using the same words our parents used. And this scares us like nothing else. And we promise ourselves we will never be like that. And then suddenly we realize that our children are not babies anymore. And they will soon be teens. And this realization fills us with terror because we know what that holds. And before we know it, we begin to feel that they're pulling away from us. And we start repeating all the same mistakes our parents made, staying up late, giving them the third degree, and behaving the way we swore we'd never behave. And then one day, for the first time, we see the disdain in our teens' eyes. And we wonder how it all came to this. And we begin to feel confused and lost and afraid. Our kids eventually move out of our boring old home and into the dorm or the barracks or someplace, any place, just to be away from us. And we find ourselves sitting, blinking, bewildered. At some point, we find ourselves sitting alone, realizing that we're approaching one of those dreaded birthdays. You know the ones I'm talking about, the ones with a big fat zero at the end. And we see the end of our youth and a terrifying future rapidly approaching. And we remember those early dreams and realize we never lived any of them. Now, our spouse long ago realized that we are not Superman or Wonder Woman, and we wonder how long it will be before they decide to leave too. Or maybe we'll need to leave them. And this is a scary thought. And we spend all our energy just trying not to panic. That job path we set out upon never did lead us to the promised land. And now it feels like nothing more than an energy drain. It's something we can't let go of, but also something we no longer have any passion for. We feel vulnerable and exposed. Our smooth skin is gone, and we're like wrinkly, naked little babies ourselves. And there's a part of us that's crying and whining and kicking and screaming because we don't understand what's happening to us. Now, hopefully that part of us is only on the inside. But if we're not careful, once in a while it seeps out and it gets to the surface and escapes. Is any of this sounding familiar to you? Are you to a point in your life where you've begun to realize that life really is a strange experience, like a giant hamster wheel or something that is impossible to escape? From where you are right now, can you begin to see the middle part of your life approaching in the distance? Or maybe it's right around the corner, or even more terrifying, maybe it's already here. My name's Tom Epperson. I'm president of Midlife Media, and I'm a personal strategy coach and a professional trainer. My mission is to help people plan for, navigate, and or recover from the midlife experience. Are you in that place where you look back and see several decades of hard work and sacrifice and ask yourself what you really accomplished? This video is the first installment in a series of videos that I'm going to give away for free in celebration of the release of my new book, Flying in the Face of Gravity. Midlife is a challenging time. Many of the problems we face in midlife stem from unresolved conflicts that go all the way back to our early childhoods. For example, things like being overwhelmed by a dense atmosphere of negativity. This comes at us from all sides, from our parents, our peers, societal norms, and then there's the media coverage which spews doom and gloom 24/7. There are desires that others projected upon us which do not match our own desires, and yet, strangely, a part of us feels compelled to answer to them. There are powerful convictions which influence our decision-making processes, many of which we adopted from others without much thought or consideration. We have deep needs, which are basic to all humans, but they're prioritized differently in each individual. And these drives push us to respond in unexpected ways, and sometimes we wonder, why did I do that? Each of us is involved in a desperate search for the meaning in life, which is the most powerful driver of all. I believe every one of us is a genius. Everyone has something they can do and rise to the level of greatness. However, many of us never discover what that core genius is. Einstein once said, quote, "Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it is stupid," unquote. Do you feel at times like a fish trying to climb a tree? Do you feel like the path you've been on no longer suits you or fits your basic needs and desires? In midlife, we stop and take stock only to realize that the kids are grown and gone, the job is a disappointment, and our important relationships no longer hold any passion or meaning. Then we look ahead, and what do we see? 40 more years. That could be the name of a haunted house in a Halloween theme park. The midlife experience need not be one of crisis and regret. Managed correctly, the midlife becomes a grand adventure filled with discovery, growth, and meaning. If this subject is something that you are interested in, or if you know someone who might be interested, I invite you to join me for the rest of this video series by going to www.faceofgravity.com/free gift. Give me your email address and I'll send you access to a 4-part video series as my free gift to you. You'll receive access to one video about every other week, and each video will look closely at one aspect of what it takes to break free and live a life of abundance. The principles we will be discussing are universal and could be employed by anyone, but most people don't have the maturity to understand them until they've become more experienced. The second half of your life can be the best half. You can still do many of the things that you've always dreamed of. Maybe you can't work for NASA, but did you know you can buy a ticket to visit outer space? Almost anything is possible. And most importantly, you can do these things without having to burn down or cast aside everything you've worked so hard to build during the first half of your life. We all struggle at certain stages in life. Midlife is one of those times. No two cases are exactly the same. We are all individuals, and yet in so many ways, we are all the same. There are basic, fundamental principles which will allow you to find the abundant life you've dreamed of, no matter where you are today, if you learn how to break free from everything that is holding you down. Join me for this free video series and discover solid strategies which will allow you to maximize your relationships, your personal development, and your finances. The equation is actually quite simple. It starts with really getting to know yourself and understanding what makes you tick. From there, you can build joy, meaning, and passion into your relationships, your work, and everything that you do. It is never too late to begin planning your midlife strategy, and it's never too early. Begin now. Be sure to visit my website to register for the free video series and watch for the release of my book coming in just a few weeks. This is your life. Break free. Live abundantly. My name is Tom Epperson, and I'll see you in the next video.